Well, good morning. One of the nice things about summertime is that you get to relax out of your classroom. Actually, they take your classroom and move everything out of it and allow you to stay at home to do your studies. And that's how you happen to be in my particular office right now. I'm Doug Barrows, and I'm an engineer. I'm also a naval aviator, and well, there are things like my airplanes and stuff around in the background. If you can see it, my father and the rest of the military members of the family. I get to grow a beard, and I get to address drones or unmanned aircraft systems. And you are part of my class for getting a certification in the safety of that system. I've got this video is being made to fulfill a 20-minute requirement for being a safety instructor, and to introduce you to what the program is about and what it's going to be doing for you, and how you and I are going to get along, and some of the things that we're going to study. This is my 20th year of instruction. I've been instructing as a medical guy. I've instructed everything from venereal diseases to setting of bones. As a classroom attendant, I've taught for Embry-Riddle for 20 years. I have business and computers. And now I'm teaching what I do for a living, or used to do for a living, which is engineering. The introduction for this thing is, you're not here to watch me. If you can see this right here, let me see if I can get you down in here, just a little bit down there. Okay, this is supposed to be a very large screen in which you can take a look at and see pictures that I put up there. This is, of course, the background, and it shows me controlling the drone. The drone that I'm controlling is this one, my Phantom Vision, okay, which I had up at the school, and I was beginning to take pictures of that. The introduction to this thing is the fact that, we do a lot of things in the air. Air is probably where the majority of the money that you would like to have goes. People are interested all over the world. From a national standpoint, you want to have a national airlines. From a national standpoint, you want to be able to defend yourself in the air. From a national standpoint, well, you understand the amount of money that people are willing to pay for transportation. It's reflected in kids' toys, and toys for those of us that are not quite kids but really enjoy it as well. And this is a toy. Now, it comes out of a box, okay? It's got a controller here. It's got, on the inside there's an electrical propulsion system. This is it's got a motor here, and then it's got a controller as well. But this is basically a toy. You can go down and you can buy it online. All right. This is a toy up here. All right, this is a toy. It's called a blade. Okay. It's one of many broken toys that I have around. The one I just showed you, it's the last one I have working, and I originally had like 8 of them, and used them in the classroom to teach people how to fly airplane and how to control them. This is a blade, and it's been run into, there's a fan above me, it's run into the fan, it's run into the front door, it's run all over the classroom as well, and it finally just ceased to work. And as you can see, it's missing parts off the top here. There should be 2 blades like this. Eventually it will be back in again. I'm going to solder it again this summer. You're not in this program to watch me fly a drone. You're in this program because you want to fly a drone. All right, you want to fly maybe one of these. Notice it's missing one. I've got to replace that motor. The motor's in the other room. You want to fly one of these. The reason it needs to be replaced is I hand this to my students to fly, and that's why you're here, okay? Maybe that one, or maybe you want to fly this one, okay? Which again, it's missing. It needs to have some work done on it as well. Now you just kind of pull these things out and resolder and put them in. Notice that in each case, you also have something like this. All right, that goes with it. And this is the ability to control. This is a manifestation of a lot of work in this that depends less on your ability to work with your thumbs than your ability to work with your head. And your head, that's why you're in this classroom. Your head is what is going to enable you to be successful in, oh, this is incidentally my sheet that I want to make sure that I cover everything that I'm supposed to. That's teaching. And that's ensuring that the next person that comes in here and gets this type of lecture learns the same type of items. All right, you're in here because you've got, you're looking for a high school credit, but in actuality, you want to do something a little bit better than that. You maybe want to take your own picture. You want to take pictures of your friends and stuff. And there is only one way to do that in my class, and that is safely. And so we're going to prepare you to do drones. We're going to teach you about how other people do drones. We're going to take a look at the safety aspects of, of flying things around. But the number one rule in my classroom is taken from medicine, and it's first, do no harm. Every point that you are making as a safety operator is to prevent damage to people and to property. And this establishment of safety is the first rule. Is primum nocere, and I probably got that the Latin mispronounced, but it's above my own door to my own office in my own classroom, and it's there each day, and it's there to be reviewed on a daily basis, because the primary motivation for flying a drone is that you are successful in doing so. You don't lose the drone, you don't get hurt, you don't hurt other people. All right. So we'll establish that first. The second thing that you need to take a look at is, what is it going to do to allow you to prove to other people that you're working along safely. You don't just kind of come in and pick up one of these drones and grab a hold of a thing and turn it on and go, okay, wow, man, I'm going to take this thing and off I'm going to go. First you have to know, when do you turn it on? Do you turn on the drone first, or do you turn on the control mechanism first? And then where do you park this item? And how do you know, how can you show or demonstrate to someone how well, how often, and how proficient that you are? So we're also going to study, in addition to the drones themselves, we're going to study those things which we need to go about doing to show others that we are proficient in this. And some of those are, well, here's one of my old logbooks. I mean, it really is an old logbook. And it goes back, this is for weapon system training from when I flew. And it's got all kinds of things in here. And it's got my, from 1975 back there. Some of the qualification, well, it's not there. Who I flew with and these types of things. They can always go back and take this, because this shows that I have been doing things. Now, you, on the other hand, are going to be flying around. Notice there's a nice old helmet bag here. You will take in, you don't want to use one of these things. This is really interesting, but we do that with computers now, although we used to not do. And you've got to have things like this, which is a third-class medical certificate if you want a pilot's license. And then this is more like something you would see. This is a pilot's log. Okay. Inside this pilot's log, you'll find things like, what day did you fly with? What were the weather conditions? Who did you fly with? How much time did you spend in the air? How many landings and how many takeoffs did you actually do? Now, if you've got that written down and I sign it off for you, then when someone says, are you proficient? You go, yeah, look, these are the things which I have done, and these are the things I have done them with and to. And these are the people who feel that I am qualified to fly. So there's that portion of it. The other portion of it is, how exactly do you take and make your aircraft ready for flight? How do you take and do those things which you need to? And I am opening up this box here. All right, it's not a big deal. It's just an ordinary box, and it's what I carry my. But inside the box, I have a thing, and I pull it out, and it says Phantom 2 Vision Mission Checklists. This is a checklist that allows me to make sure when I go in the air, I'm going to have those things pretty much looked at that success requires. Or if a day in operating out of the back of a vehicle, point the vehicle into the sun. As simple as that is, it tells you where you need to do and start to do your aligning. Now this is just to do with the pre-flight checklist for my vision. Similar checklists are developed to be using the alias that I've got here, and I'm repairing this as well. I threw it into a wall to demonstrate how excellent a machine it is, and I no longer can use this particular engine right here. But it'll be back. It will work, and I didn't follow my checklist because actually I did, and I did something stupid on purpose in order to make a demonstration, but I won't do that again. I took this and went in there. So there are other checklists which go with this one, and there are other checklists which go with the other, obviously with the other aircraft that we've got as well. So we're going to follow the procedures that we need. We're going to follow the requirements that we need to be a pilot in control. We're going to take a look at a history that we're establishing with our aircraft. We're going to take a look at what do we do to this thing? How do I know that thing's not going to fly? Or how do I know it's going to fly well? So we're going to take a look at the maintenance that goes into this. And if I want to know if you're a professional, I'll go and I will ask you to show me your logbook. Let me take a look at the procedures that you've got for handling this thing. What is it that makes it safe? And show me how often that you have done this. And show me what maintenance that you have done on this thing to make sure that these things don't come off. That in actuality that the battery that you've got in here is not left plugged in because it's an Li battery, and it's kind of, they get hot and they do catch on fire. What have you done to make sure that yours is not going to create a type of unsafe situation there? So we're going to be doing all of that and a whole bunch more in this classroom. We're going to take a look at establishing ourselves and the credentials that we need so that if we go down, and I need to point out that you're not in this just because it's a lot of fun. You expect to maybe make some money off it too. And the businesses here in Jacksonville, Florida, which is where I'm located, or to the north, to the south of it, the businesses here in Jacksonville, Florida are all beginning to take off. Both legally and illegally, they're beginning to use drones. They would like to use them legally, and that's where you come in. If you go in and you can assist, we've got CSX in town, all right? We've got Amtrak in town. Each one of them want to know what is the condition of the tracks, what are the conditions of the infrastructure, and they'll be looking to put things. And we've got the United States Navy in town, big time, and they're starting up their Trident system, which is similar to a Global Hawk, but more tuned toward doing ocean work. And they'll fly things all over the world from here in Jacksonville. And they're going to need civilians to work too. Not all the Navy has just their own pilots and their own people. They also need technicians. You would be a safety technician. So you take a look at the pathway that you need to get, well, can you go and stand on the runway and assist taking off of one of these large UASs as the Trident, and then hand off control to a Navy pilot? Well, you have to start somewhere, and if that's your dream, then this is kind of where you're going to need to be to establish a path for getting into that. It's not just what you've got available to you, it's what surrounds you from an environment. What is it that the weather is like? What type of weather do you need? How far do you will you be able to see? Something like this is really nice, but once you get beyond several hundred yards, you don't see it anymore. And even though there's a nice little blue light on the back, you might not be able to see that. This, of course, you use inside and hope that you can keep it in sight. And I've got a couple other drones that I use in the classroom. I use the Parrot and I use the Sumo. Sumo is just rolling around, and it's kind of a trainer that I use to, I take two of them and let you as an operator face a wall. So the only thing that you're actually looking at is the control mechanism you have for that Sumo. And you get to chase the other guy around if you can find him, because he's sitting next to you, but he has no idea really where he is too. So unless he's looking and understands where he is in relative to, well, I'll let you try that. All right, it's fun. It's kind of trying to play tag, and it's how we spend Fridays keeping and getting skills. So you're interested in weather. What do you need to do in order to fly? You're interested in the design and the purpose and the parts of the professionalism that you're working with when you have something tactile in your hand. Describe for me what the propulsion system for this is, where the payload is. Tell me what the propulsion system is. How is the control of the payload, and how is the control of the aircraft done? Those types of things we will take a look at as we move on. Though we call those just the parts of the system. So the weather, the parts of the system. You're not going to be flying alone. You need to have an observer. If you're taking a look in particular, this is the controller for a Vision, and on it you're going to take, and right in here you're going to put in your in my case it's an iPhone. You put that in there, and you're going to be looking at this and seeing where are you relative to where are you on your mission compared to, which you have to be able to keep in visual sight. Now if you're looking here, you're not looking where the drone is, and that's why you're working with someone. So what are their responsibilities to you, and what are your responsibilities to them, and how well can you control this, and how well can you get this back? What are all these buttons? So you will be taking a look at the requirements for coordination. Do you talk up what kind of interference you need if you see it's going to crash? I mean, if you're looking at a small screen, you may not be able to see the fact that there's something that's coming into the area, perhaps another drone, or one of my other crew is taking and setting off one of the rockets that we use, or those type of things. So those are going to be consistent with it as well. Coordination, and let's say more as we were saying to begin with, the safety factors. All of these are going to be apparent to you when you take a look at the FAA and how the FAA, the Federal Aeronautics Association, the FAA is the controlling agency, Federal Aviation Agency, that sets the ground rules for you to legally and successfully complete flights for money. flights to do inspections, flights to do movies, flights to do just enjoy. Now, if you're just an RV guy and you're just flying around, just put your aircraft in the air and just have a good time. Where can you do it and how high can you fly? So we will study those regulations as well. The first rule, remember the first rule? We start off with safety and we end with safety each class. And the first rule is do no harm. The second question I'm going to ask you is, what is your motivation for taking this course? Why are you taking a drone course? Finding out that it's an unmanned aircraft systems course. Taking a look at the fact that while we play around with quadcopters, the majority of the people are actually using fixed wings, and they're out doing agriculture. They're out doing military. They're out doing safety. So what is your motivation for taking this course, and where is it going to take you? And the last thing, of course, is long term, are drones for you? Are you a person that is going to be able to take and make a living at this, or make a good hobby at it? One way or another, I'll see you around. We will be in this classroom daily for about 16 weeks, and at the end of it, you should have a safety certification. You should be able to hang that on the wall, take a picture of it with you, and show it to your next employer. Good luck. I'll see you. And thanks for joining me.